Eddie Jones warned Springboks could face a challenge retaining their peak ahead of 2027 Rugby World Cup Japan. Head coach Eddie Jones has reignited debate in the rugby world after suggesting that the South African national rugby union team may have reached the pinnacle of their powers slightly too early, potentially leaving them vulnerable when defending their title at the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia. Known for his direct and incisive insights into international rugby, Jones has long offered candid assessments of teams at both club and international levels. His latest observations about the reigning world champions have certainly caused a stir, particularly among Springboks fans and pundits who are accustomed to seeing South Africa as an almost invincible force on the global stage. The Springboks, under the guidance of head coach Rassie Erasmus, have been the preeminent power in world rugby for several years. Their recent dominance includes consecutive Rugby World Cup triumphs, first in Japan in 2019 and then in France in 2023, as well as a historic 2-1 series victory over the British and Irish Lions in South Africa in 2021. Beyond these marquee achievements, South Africa have continued to consolidate their reputation as rugby's elite, winning the Rugby Championship in 2024 and 2025, and completing unbeaten end-of-year tours to Europe in both 2024 and 2025. This sustained success has solidified the Springboks as a benchmark for excellence and consistency in the modern era of the game. Despite their formidable record, Jones suggested last month during an appearance on the DSBN podcast with Martin Devlin that the Springboks' current level of performance may be nearing a natural peak. He emphasized that maintaining an elite level over a prolonged period is an extraordinary challenge, particularly with the pressures of consecutive World Cups and the intensity required in top-level international rugby. "I've got a theory on South Africa that maybe they're hitting their peak right now," Jones explained. "And is the timing right? Because 2 years to retain a peak is a long time. They've been playing some sensational rugby, but holding your absolute top for long periods is very hard in rugby. The risk of maintaining peak performance," Jones elaborated further during a discussion on the Behind the Ruck podcast, responding to questions from former Springboks scrum half Rudy Page. He explained that sustaining peak performance is not just a physical or technical challenge. It also involves keeping players mentally engaged, motivated, and hungry for success over the long haul. Someone asked me, "What do you think about South Africa?" Jones said, and I thought, well, the one thing that's hard to do in rugby, particularly, is hold your absolute top for long periods. I'm not suggesting that South Africa won't do well at the World Cup, but keeping that intensity and that peak is a challenge. While Jones' comments were seen by some as controversial, he made it clear that he was not questioning the quality or talent of the Springboks. On the contrary, he emphasized that Rassie Erasmus has created a highly competitive environment within the team, which is a key factor that could help South Africa continue to perform at an elite level. At Erasmus-winning culture, Jones praised Erasmus for his ability to maintain a culture of competition and accountability within the Springbok squad. According to the Japan coach, this internal competitiveness is one of the factors that allows players to sustain performance levels over time, despite the natural physical and mental where that comes with international rugby. The one thing that gives them an edge, and where Rassie has done better than anyone else, is creating such a competitive environment in the team, Jones said. Even in positions that used to be dominated by one player, take Faf de Klerk for instance, you see competition at almost every position. This keeps players hungry, and hunger is what stops you from coming off your peak. Jones highlighted that players like de Klerk, who were once universally regarded as the top choice at their positions, now face constant competition from emerging talent. This environment pushes everyone to maintain high standards, ensuring that older, more experienced players continue to work hard and adapt their game as younger teammates push for opportunities. The age factor and physical demands, another aspect of Jones' analysis, concerns the age profile of the Springboks. Many players within the squad fall into the 30 to 35 age bracket, which can present challenges in terms of recovery, endurance, and maintaining peak physical conditioning over successive seasons. While modern sports science and professional training programs have extended players' careers, allowing athletes to compete at the highest level into their mid to late 30s, The natural decline in recovery rates and susceptibility to injury remains a consideration. I think it's always a combination of factors, but the number of players that are potentially aging is worth noting, Jones said. You can play until 36, 37, or 38 if you look after your body, train appropriately, and make sacrifices in other areas of your life. But as you get older, the tendency is not always to maintain that same level of physical intensity. That's the only risk I see for South Africa. Despite this, Jones stressed that the Springboks are well-placed to manage these challenges. He noted that the style of rugby they currently play, physically dominant, disciplined, and strategically controlled, suits the team well, and that Erasmus' management and tactical insight help mitigate the potential impact of aging players. The challenge of motivation. Jones also spoke about the psychological dimension of maintaining a peak. Success at the international level can create a paradox for veteran players. Having achieved the ultimate goals, sustaining the same hunger and intensity for another cycle can be difficult. One of the things that does happen, and perhaps the 2015 World Cup for South Africa is an example, is that some players just want to go to another World Cup. Of course, they want to win, but they may not do everything they can to be at their absolute best, Jones explained. This is where internal team culture becomes crucial. By fostering competition for places, encouraging accountability, and ensuring players remain engaged with both personal and team goals, the Springboks can mitigate the risk of complacency by balancing experience and youth. One of the Springboks' key strengths, according to Jones, is the balance between experienced leaders and younger players coming through the ranks. Veteran players bring invaluable experience and composure, while emerging talent adds energy, unpredictability, and a fresh perspective. This balance not only helps the team maintain high-performance standards, but also ensures that learning and adaptation continue within the squad. Keeping older players at their best while integrating new talent is always the challenge, Jones said. But with the structure Erasmus has created, players are constantly motivated, and the competition keeps everyone sharp. That's what can extend a team's peak. The timing of the peak. Jones' main concern revolves around the timing of the Springboks' peak in relation to the 2027 Rugby World Cup. He suggests that the team's current dominance, while impressive, may be difficult to sustain over the next 18 months. Rugby is a physically demanding sport, and maintaining the highest intensity levels for prolonged periods is an extraordinary challenge, even for world-class squads. Optimism for the Springboks. Key takeaways. 1. Sustaining peak performance is hard. Maintaining the highest level over 2 years leading into the 2027 World Cup is a major challenge. 2. Age profile matters. Several key players are in the 30 to 35 age range, which brings both experience and potential physical limitations. 3. Competition keeps players hungry. Erasmus has built an internal culture of competition, which mitigates complacency and ensures consistent intensity. 4. Psychological and motivational factors are crucial. Hunger, drive, and emotional engagement are as important as tactical and technical ability. 5. Timing of peak performance is critical. The Springboks are currently at an elite level, but sustaining it until Australia 2027 requires careful management of both physical and mental factors. Conclusion. Eddie Jones' insights provide a fascinating perspective on the challenges facing even the most dominant rugby teams. The Springboks have set an extraordinarily high benchmark over recent years, winning consecutive World Cups, topping the Rugby Championship, and remaining unbeaten on tours. Yet, Jones reminds the rugby world that sustaining a peak performance level over time is one of the sport's greatest